foul. That was absolutely ridiculous.
The Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Up on down. Here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series.
I don't know. It's tough. Tom's up there, man.
Oh, man. What a busy day here for the Boston Celtics. And we can even say for the Boston Bruins as well. But today, the main story was the Boston Celtics. They didn't even give me time to really celebrate this championship. They're already rocking and rolling with this offseason, and they have been coming out with some big news. And honestly, there has been some sad news today also from the Boston Celtics, and it makes me a little bit nervous for the future for them. And we are going to talk about what happened with the Celtics, because there is a lot to go over from today. The Celtics were the big headline in Boston sports today. If you want to talk Bruins as well, we will be able to talk a little bit about Bruins, but I'm going to let you guys get into the discussion for the Bruins. I'm not going to really go into detail for the Bruins. There was some news for the Bruins today because free agency started for them, but today was mostly for the Boston Celtics. And wow, free agency has really kicked off. They haven't even let me upload my article for you guys yet on the website, and here we are. We are already talking about the next set of business for the Boston Celtics. Leave a thumbs up if you guys enjoy these videos. Subscribe now if you guys know what to do. Go check out our website. The link is in the description down below. And I think it's right for me to talk about each and every single thing in order of what happened today. Because, again, there was a lot. There was a lot that came out for the Boston Celtics. I want to do a video, and I want to get it up for you guys as soon as possible, and I know you guys are waiting for my opinion on everything that has happened today, so we are going to be doing that. First and foremost, the first set of news that came out today for the Boston Celtics was that Derek White has agreed on a 4-year, $126 million contract extension that will keep him with the Boston Celtics. Again, big news there because Derek White has been a cornerstone to this championship roster. You cannot afford to lose him if you want to compete for championships year in and year out for the next 3, 4, 5 seasons or whatever. Derek White was a key piece to keep on this team. He was an all-NBA defensive team for the last 2 years, I believe, and he has been a huge piece for you guys offensively. There was no way you could afford to lose Derek White. He's around 30 years old, I want to say right now. So by the time his deal ends, he will be around 34, 35, around there. You will have to decide what you want to do there. Oh, he turns 30 tomorrow, so there you go. So yeah, by the time his deal kicks around, he'll be what, 34, 35 years old. So yeah, he'll be getting up there in age. By the time he hits 34, 35, you'll have to make a decision there what you want to do. Is he worth around $30 million still or whatever? Because they're going to be giving Drew Holiday $30 million. So is he going to seek the same deal as Drew Holiday is going to get? I don't know. But for the time being, very good signing. To be honest with you, the contract looks pretty good as opposed to what I'm seeing other guys get that are in the same caliber as Derek White. First of all, Fred VanVleet's getting around $42 million a year. Are you telling me you're taking Fred VanVleet over Derek White? I don't think so. I'm not taking VanVleet over Derek White. I'll tell you that. So the fact that the Celtics are getting Derek White on a cheaper deal than Fred VanVleet, and when you break down the contract for Derek White, in 2025-2026, he's going to make $28.1 million. In 2026-2027, he's going to make $30.4. In 2027-28, he's going to make $32.6. 2028 to 2029, he's going to be making $34.8. And right now, it's looking like a good deal for the Celtics, right? I mean, he could have went to another team, and he could have gotten himself a $200 million deal easily, I feel like, right? If he just waited the extra year, I feel like he could have gotten a lot more than what he stuck around for. It just goes to show that he loves being here in Boston. this was the maximum that you could offer to Derek White, so you might have saved yourself some money in the long run because the fact that you got it done now as opposed to next year, Derek White could have probably gotten himself like 175, 178, 200 million, whatever it could have been. So you're saving some money with Derek White there, getting this deal done now. I think he could have definitely went to another team and gotten 200 million easily the following season. If you would have asked me, I definitely think he could have gotten that contract. So Derek White staying, maybe leaving a little bit of money on the table. He's only going to get around like a $10 million increase as opposed to what he's making now. So that's not terrible. And now Derek White is here until 2029 at the very latest. Unless the Celtics eventually decide to get under the second apron and you have to trade one of your guys that's making $30 million around there, so on and so forth. And that leads to the next set of news that I'm going to talk about that happened today with the Boston Celtics. And it was a shocker. It was a shocker around the league, Boston sports, Celtic fans, Celtic Nation. It was a shocker to everybody. Wyc Grousbeck is expected to sell majority ownership of the Boston Celtics. So right now, Wyc Grousbeck is the main owner of the Boston Celtics. He owns the majority of the stake of the team. Wyc Grousbeck is planning to make the franchise available for sale, and he will no longer be the owner of the Boston Celtics, like the majority owner. Now, there was some good news that came out later on in the day on top of that. So it's only Wyc that's selling his share. So you're still going to have like the minority owner of the Celtics still in play. And I saw something today. Steve Paggs, who is a minority owner of the Boston Celtics, said this after the news came out today about Wyc. I am grateful and thankful for the 21-year partnership I have enjoyed with Wyc and Irv Grousbeck, the Epstein family, and all the incredible Celtic investment partners. It has been a remarkable run that resulted in 2 NBA championships for the best and most passionate fans in professional basketball. Capped off with an amazing duck boat parade last week in Boston, along with the championships, we are most proud of the growth of our community impact efforts and the dedication of the investor group, coaches, players, and staff to helping community members who are in need. Being a co-investor and managing partner of the Celtics has been a great honor and a labor of love. I hope to be a part of the Celtics moving forward and will be a proud participant in the bidding process that has been announced today. So from the looks of it, it looks like Paggs is going to be in the bidding war for Wyc's share of the Boston Celtics. Maybe he becomes a major role towards the Celtics in owning the team, which, if you were to ask me right now, if Paggs becomes the majority ownership of the Boston Celtics, that is the best case scenario for the Boston Celtics, because this ownership group that we have right now for the Boston Celtics loves the team. They're doing it because they want to win. It doesn't matter what the cost is. They are ownerships that you want owners to be, right? You want this ownership to be in on championships year in and year out. That's what you want them to be. Wyc, Paggs, and the whole entire Celtics ownership has been a part of that. And it looks like Paggs wants to keep that trend going and will not let go of his stakes and wants to add on to his stakes no matter what it takes. And that's huge. At first, I was devastated with the Wyc Grousbeck news because my first thought process went to, oh, shit. You know who's interested in an NBA team right now? Yeah. this guy. And if this guy becomes the owner of the Boston Celtics, I'm jumping off the Tobin Bridge. You guys know I cannot stand this guy. I absolutely despise this guy. And the reason for that is because he doesn't care about his fans. He doesn't care about the team. He doesn't care about the players, the coaching staff, or whatever. He's in it about the money. He wasn't in it about the money at first. But there's a saying, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. John Henry has lived long enough in the sports world to see himself become the villain. And now people despise him. Again, I got my inside sources of what happened with the Xander Bogaerts situation. And this is why, and from what I've heard at least, is why I don't want him touching the Boston Celtics and going anywhere near this Boston Celtics team. Because if he takes over the Boston Celtics, it's over. It's wraps. The Boston Celtics will not be winning for the foreseeable future. I don't want him anywhere near this Boston Celtics team. Because if he gets ownership of this Boston Celtics team, again, I'm jumping off the Tobin. Because you guys know, I was a big Red Sox fan. But after hearing how he treated his players, the team, and pretty much disrespecting them to the point where, like, they wanted out of a historic franchise in the Red Sox, if he's not going to get behind the team and behind the fans should not get behind him. So you know what I did? I followed Bogaerts to San Diego, and right now I am wearing San Diego Padres gear when I'm watching baseball. Like, for example, San Diego came into town this weekend. Who was I rooting for? I was rooting for Manny Machado and the San Diego Padres, not the Boston Red Sox. So if he becomes ownership of the Boston Celtics, that will be an absolute travesty to Boston sports. If there's anybody right now who is a part of Boston sports who I want to take ownership of the Boston Celtics, there's two names. Pags is my first option. My second option would be Robert Kraft. And the reason why Robert Kraft would be my second option is because he's another owner that's like us. He knows championship windows and everything else. He knows that Boston sports is in it to win each and every single year, and he will do whatever it takes to have this team win each and every single year. So, if it's Kraft, fine. Great. I don't think that's going to happen. But for the sake of the Celtics, we need an ownership who is like Wyc Grousbeck, who doesn't care about the money, who doesn't care about what it's going to cost. As long as they build a winning team, that's all that should matter to whoever comes in as the next owner of the Boston Celtics. Wyc Grousbeck is expected to be governor of the Boston Celtics until 2028. So that's still a ways away. That's like 3-4 years away that Wyc will be no longer as the governor of the Boston Celtics. So we're still far away from that. But today's news of Wyc Grousbeck selling the Boston Celtics was an absolute shocker. I almost shed a tear. I almost shed a tear today. Because I've grown so much love and respect for Wyc Grousbeck, for how he's constructed this team and how he has built a winner. I know Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens has a lot to do with it, but he has the final say of what they have to do, of what they can do. And he has been the ownership that every fan base dreams of an ownership to be. To be in it year in, year out, no matter what the cost is, willing to spend it. And that is all you want in an owner. Obviously, there are going to be years where, like, okay, we need a bridge year to reset the penalties, everything else, so on and so forth. But Wick being a part of this team, he has shown that he's in it for the love of the team and the love of the game and the love of the city. I tweeted this out today. The wrong Boston sports group is selling their team. The wrong owner is selling the team. John Henry should be the one selling his team. Out of everybody, Wick's the first to sell? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. But then when the Celtics came out with their statement, that's when I was like, oh, well, this is real. Wow. That's very disappointing. I just hope when Wick sells the team, I hope he doesn't go for the highest bidder. I hope Wick sells to somebody who he knows and trusts will keep this culture of the Boston Celtics and run this team exactly like he is running it right now. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what any Celtics fan should hope for right now. This news today wasn't great. That news wasn't great. We went from, yes, Derek White got extended, let's go, he's sticking around Boston, and then we got hit with that bombshell, and we're like, what the actual fuck just happened? Is this actual news right now? Yep, this is a real thing. And it's so crazy because a month and a half ago, on the Truth Lounge, Wick said that this team was not for sale. And now this team's for sale? Something happened. I don't know what happened. Something happened. I hope nothing happened with his family where he has to step away to spend time with his family. I hope that's not the case. But something happened along the way because a month and a half ago, he was not planning on selling this team. And from the tone of it, he was not. This wasn't even going to be news. This wasn't the news that you would expect. And then the next question I'm going to have for you guys is, what happens to TD Garden in the future? Do the Celtics find their own building in the future? Are they going to be moving to an arena? A new arena, I should say, in Boston. Are they going to be building their own home? Because right now, the Boston Bruins own the TD Garden. Will they be moving? I hope they don't move. I love the TD Garden. That is my second home. I've grown to love TD Garden. TD Garden has been the place where I grew up watching the Celtics and the Bruins. I don't want to have to go to another arena to see the Boston Celtics. But could that be happening? It could be. I think if Pags becomes the ownership of the Boston Celtics, I don't think they move. So I think that's really what we should hope for. I think we should hope for Pags getting ownership of this team and becoming a majority owner of the Celtics. I think that is like the best case scenario for the Boston Celtics. Because I don't want to see them move from TD Garden. I love TD Garden. It's in a great area. I love TD Garden. It's a beautiful arena. The inside of it is fantastic. We reacted to a video not too long ago where they had some inside sources that the Celtics were getting a new arena, and we were all like, man, this guy sounds like an idiot. There's no way in hell that the Celtics are going to get a new arena. Now that Wick Grousbeck announced today that he's selling his majority ownership of the Boston Celtics, now that becomes a little bit more believable. And it scares me. It scares me the fact that they might be moving, because I don't want to see them move from TD Garden. I love TD Garden. I hope they don't. I hope they don't move from TD Garden. I heard a question today where who would you rather have become the new owner of the Celtics if it's not Wick? Out of the three other teams, it was Robert Kraft, the Bruins owner. I don't know who his name is off the top of my head. Or John Henry. Everybody was saying Kraft, which that's the easy answer. But To be fair, though, if the Bruins owner became ownership of the Celtics, I wouldn't really mind that either. I would not really mind that either because he owns TD Garden. He's not going to want to build a new arena. He already owns a building. And guess what? He spends on free agents too. The Bruins signed a few free agents today at big bucks. So he spends also. He loves the Bruins as well. I mean, their success hasn't been great, but they've been to what? The Stanley Cup Finals in 2011, 13, 19. They've been in playoffs year in and year out. I wouldn't mind him as an owner really either. I just don't want John Henry. That is like the one name you don't want out of the other three sports teams in Boston that you do not want owning the Boston Celtics. I can live with the Bruins ownership, and I can live with Robert Kraft if they came in. John Henry, though, please get away from this team. I don't want you being the owner of this team. Let's move on, though. But that was big news. We covered that a lot. That was big news. Let's move on from that real quick. Then we got a huge uphill again in news today. And this gave me a little bit of a sigh of relief too. Because I was seeing questions asked, oh, what does this mean about this guy's extension? Will this play a factor? I don't know. But 4 hours ago, I would say around there, we got the breaking news that Celtic fans have been waiting for also. And that is, hold on, real quick, I got to put on my shirt. It is well deserved for today because this man has become the NBA's richest player for a contract. No other player has made more on a single contract than this guy has. Mr. Forever 19 and now forever a Boston Celtic. Yeah, I'm saying that because I think the new ownership who comes in here will know that they will not be able to lose this guy. If they lose this guy, it's over for them. Jason Tatum. Or as we like to call him now, Champ. The champ is here. The champ is here to stay. A 5-year, $314 million Supermax contract extends through the 2029-2030 season. He will turn how old? I want to say like 32. 31, 32, yeah. He'll be 31, 32 when that contract kicks in. There's not really much I need to say about this, right? Jason Tatum is a top 5 player in the NBA. If there's any NBA player that is worthy of this contract, Jason Tatum is one of them. Absolutely. Absolutely, he is deserving of this contract. Again, top 5 player in the league. An NBA champion. However many All-NBA first teams now, it's got to be like, 3 or 4 of them. The resume really speaks for himself already. And right now, Jason Tatum is, at this moment, one of the best players in Celtic history. Yes, he is officially able to be in that discussion with Paul Pierce, with Larry Bird, with Bill Russell. He is up there in Boston Celtics history already. At only 19, that is crazy. That is wild. Around until 31. I would assume that he's going to be here after this extension ends here also. I don't see him going anywhere. He loves the city of Boston. He doesn't really see himself going anywhere. And this deal involves a trade kicker too. So, like, if he gets traded, he gets a certain amount of money also for being traded. So, What that basically means, the trade kicker, because Jaylen Brown got one last year also, is basically saying if you trade me somewhere, you got to pay. You got to pay to trade me. You know what that says? That says they want to be here. That says they don't want to go anywhere. Because they are comfortable with their situation. They love it here in the city. They are beloved in the city. And their legacies will live on forever. If you want to compete for championships, there's two guys that you absolutely need to keep on this team. That is Jason Tatum, one. Jaylen Brown's the other one. You cannot afford to lose both of those guys. You got to find a way to maximize their years because it's very rare for you to draft a player and for them to turn out like Jason Tatum. Even Jaylen Brown, right? Celtics drafted Jaylen Brown also, and look at the type of player he is. He's now a top 15 player in the NBA. That rarely comes in organizations. It is rare for you to draft a guy and they become a top 5 player in the league, a top 15 player in the league. It's very rare for that to happen. I'm talking about, like, for the organization. Like, yeah, we see it around the league, obviously, but, like, for your organization to end up drafting a top 5 guy in the league, it rarely happens. It rarely happens. So you need to maximize that window as far as possible. That's what you need to do. Celtics have 2 guys in the top 15, top 20. Again, I say top 20 because people will argue that Jaylen Brown's a top 20 player. I say he's a top 15 player in the league, but people will say he's a top 20. But let's give him the top 20. You have 2 players in the top 20 in the league. One of which is a top 5 player. The other one I say is a top 15. You need to maximize that window as far as possible. Because these opportunities rarely come. Where you draft a player and they turn into a superstar talent. You have 2 of them. You drafted 2 superstar talents. All the hard work that they've put in to get themselves to this level, to put your franchise in this position, you need to maximize their window as far as possible. You got to do exactly what the Golden State Warriors did. That's what you have to do. And they lost Klay Thompson today. That's a side note. So they maximized their window for 13 years. That ended into 4 championships. If this turns into 4 championships for the Boston Celtics, this is a hell of a run for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And you need to do whatever it takes to have somewhat close to that dynasty of the Golden State Warriors. Not saying that you're going to win as many titles as Golden State, but you got to win at least 2 or 3. You got to get 2 or 3. You already have 1. You need 1 to 2 more. And that's what they're going for. Teams pray to be in the position that the Boston Celtics are in. They pray to be in this position. And that is what the Boston Celtics are doing today. Locking up Jason Tatum for 5 years. It's a beautiful day to be a Boston Celtics fan. Along with that, bit of a sad day too, because Wyc Grousbeck is selling the team. But I have faith in Wyc that he's just not going to sell it to some jabroni who is just in it for the money, who doesn't care about the team, who's only in it for the dollar bill and to make revenue, so on and so forth. I have faith that he'll sell it to somebody who will actually care about the team, the city, the fans, and will be a part of this run till the wheels fall off. Because your starting 5 is going to cost you around $950 million. It's a lot of money. You should be riding that till the wheels fall off. Because these opportunities, these situations don't come that often. Normally you have to sign your top players from free agency. Normally they come through free agency. You got them from the draft. That is rare. That is rare to happen. So you have to continue this as far as possible. I expect Jason Tatum to be here until he's like 36, 37 years old, if you were to ask me. That's when you got to really start thinking, okay, maybe it's time to reset. They have to be in this for the long run. They have to keep going. They have to keep pushing. And I have faith that Wick will sell it to the right person. We're going to get some of your guys call in a little bit on your guys' takes on the big day. All right, so we are going to start off with the call-ins. We're going to start off with this person here who wants to have a general reaction of free agency in basketball and the Bruins. We haven't talked Bruins yet on this video. I don't think I'm going to touch on the Bruins, but if he brings up a good point about the Bruins, we can definitely have that discussion on here because they did make some couple moves as well on here. They got Elias Lindholm today, and they got a defenseman, I believe, from Vancouver as well. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but it was for a legitimate contract, which is very interesting because they lost Grizzlick today. They lost DeBrusque today. They lost Forbert. They lost Danton Heinen. They lost a few players today, but I feel like they gained some talent also today. So we're going to bring in this person who wants to talk about free agency with basketball and the Bruins free agency so far. All right, let's get to it. Floor is yours.
Yes,
what do you got?
Son, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm just gonna start with a couple of things. First is let's get the easy one. I mean, Celtics. We basically knocked this out of the park. With what we did, the two big fat contracts that we had to get out. Derek White, Jason Tatum. I mean, I don't know how Brad works his magic. He did both of them in a matter of hours. Luke Cornett, I like the fact that we keep him around for another year. Great guy in the locker room. We do need that height and size, especially with Porzingis out till probably Christmas, maybe after Christmas. Sam Hauser, how the fact that we can pick up the $2.1 million option. How the hell is a specialty shot worth more points than how much he's getting paid? Like that still bothers me. Well, I think when he needs a new deal, we'll talk then. But I like the fact that Sam Hauser remains cheap. The two draft picks. Listen, I'm not the biggest fan of college basketball, but I mean, unless it's March Madness. But given what I heard regarding the two picks, I really do like them. I'm glad that the Celtics, to be real honest with you, did not draft Bronny James, even though he was on the table. Even though he does shoot the three exceptionally well, he does play defense. A 3-and-D guy is exactly what Joe Mazzulla likes in his system. I just don't believe that we need any more drama, and we don't need a LeBron James on our team. It's as much as I hate to say, I know he's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. I know what he said about our fans. I know what he said about the team. There's just no reason to get him and no reason to have him.
Right.
So I'm just glad that we made the storylines good by letting Bronny go home to LA to be with Dad while we get this Gonzaga guy can play. I looked. If you look at the highlights from his Zag days, he's actually not bad. And if you saw Gonzaga kids like Suggs is no scrub. If you saw Kisper on Washington, he's no scrub either. Gonzaga Gaffers from Gonzaga as well. I think he can play too. So I like what the Celtics overall did, but you shouldn't really be surprised with what Brad Stevens can do in terms of his magic. Now, regarding the sale of the team, this is going to hurt, but I really hope that this team does not fall under bad ownership. We already saw baseball team under bad ownership. I'm not really going to go further into that.
Yeah, thank you for that.
What's that?
Yeah, thank you for that. I can't stand the guy either.
No, I don't think anyone can. But I actually did say this before you hopped in and you announced what's going to happen with the live chat. If owners can be traded for draft picks. I literally said, I'm willing to trade the Celtics let's just say next decade of draft picks for Steve Ballmer of the Clippers. Because the Clippers look, the Laker fans, they're delusional, they love to talk. They're like Cowboys fans of the NBA. But they're not wrong in terms of calling the Clippers a little brother in the NBA, and the Clippers had no championships. So, but that owner right there, he does not deserve, with all the money and resources that he put into this team and the new stadium they're about to get, do what they're doing right now. Like Kawhi Leonard, we're not saying that his injuries are fake. The injuries are not legitimate, but the man just cannot ever stay available.
Right.
And then now they lost Paul George. They traded all that stuff to the Thunder to get Paul George, and he left for nothing to the 76ers. Like, can you imagine? And plus, with the way that Grusbeck has said about he wants to keep winning and wants to maybe build a dynasty, so money issues will not be the issues in terms of luxury tax. He's willing to sacrifice pockets to fatten that trophy case. You know who can definitely do that? Ballmer. So definitely, if it's legal to trade picks for owner, like I know in football, you can trade picks to get a coach. I don't think Brad Stevens would even doubt doing that if that's possible. I know it's not going to happen, but I would love in my dream scenario for that to happen because Ballmer would be the perfect replacement for what the Celtics group right now has. All right, now going to the Bruins. I didn't really listen. The NHL free agency is crazy as it gets. But I'm gonna skip to the chase. I was very, very unhappy when Don Sweeney traded Jake Lauko away from especially what he got. But looking at today, I think he did as good as you can possibly get. The fact that Zadorov and Lindholm both landed in Boston, and it's a big home run. I think, Elias Lindholm, we desperately need center depth. I cannot handle, after years of watching Bergeron and Krejci lining up the first two centers, winning faceoffs left and right, and then seeing our centers just lose draws left and right. I love Zaka, but Zaka's not a first line or second line center. Neither is Coyle. Although Coyle really overachieved at the faceoff dot. Zadorov, I like the fact that we need some physicality. I felt last year there's way too many times, especially in the playoffs, where this team played too soft. And when you're a team called the Big Bad Bruins in the past days, the Bruins have never ever been known to be soft.
Right.
So with the guy like Zadorov, I do like the acquisition. I just laughed. I just had to laugh at today. Like, what is it with Vancouver and Boston? Like, DeBrusk went to Vancouver. Danton Heinen went to Vancouver. Forbert went to Vancouver. By the way, DeBrusk and Forbert going to Vancouver. DeBrusk at those terms, I did not mind if he went to Vancouver because no way we're gonna give him 7 years on that cap hit.
Yeah.
Forbert, the guy was a flat out clone. Like, he was not the same guy when he was in the first 2 years of his contract. Real surprised that Danton Heinen, we were not able to get him back. I think Vancouver may have. I didn't look at the contract, but maybe Vancouver offered him more money. That's probably why. Sucks to lose Patrick Maroon. I'm not gonna lie, because he's a great locker room guy. He's also like that Lucic physique on the ice. Not scared of stirring things up with the opposition. Grizzly going to Pittsburgh, the most funny thing ever. Because if you saw how the Penguins are doing under John Henry, it's just as laughable as the Red Sox, if not worse. And the Penguins have more talent. And what was I about to say? But Don Sweeney, one more thing you got to do, because Brad Stevens basically did everything regarding the main players. Please get Swayman locked up after you traded Allmark away.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Like, I don't like the news that Swayman has not been under contract yet, because the one thing, as you know in sports, as anybody else knows in sports, yesterday's price is not today's price.
Right.
And the one thing I'm really scared of is the next big goalie, the number one goalie, I know these guys are under contract. I'm not going to say they're going to get signed tomorrow, but let's just say Vasilevsky gets a new deal, or Bobrovsky gets a new deal, or even heck, Stuart Skinner gets a new deal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say they got nine and a half, 10 million, $11 million every year.
Right.
What Jeremy Swayman can do is at the table say, hey, did you see what these guys got? I can get way more than that.
Right.
I've had more playoff success than this guy. I've had better goals allowed average. I've had better save percentage, all this and that. That's only going to drive his price up.
Right.
You know, Don, I give you as much credit in terms of how free agency and the trade started with Olmark and Lauco, but I need to see Swayman extended. I can't just let Lindholm and Zadorov and these acquisitions be good and just call it a day.
Right.
I need that goaltender, especially with the talent not the same as before. So that's what I got for these two guys. I think I talked enough, but yeah, I mean, but if I have to give a letter grade to the Celtics, definitely an A or an A, definitely an A. I don't think an A plus matters because an A plus would be like I didn't see it coming. Bruins, I guess I'll give it a B or a B plus. An A would be if Swayman's extended by now.
Yeah. Right.
But if Jeremy Swayman isn't extended, then I think we want to chuck Don Sweeney where John Henry is right now. So.
So I know I said I wasn't going to do interviews, but I do have a question for you because there was a report that came out today. Actually, Pags, a minority owner of the Celtics, came out after the Wyc Grousbeck, because it's Wyc Grousbeck selling his majority stake of the Celtics. The minority owners of the Celtics aren't selling, so they're sticking around. Pags came out and said that he will be a proud participant in the bidding process for Wyc's stakes. Is that a good thing for the Celtics if he becomes like a majority owner of this team?
I always think in terms of I didn't look at this hard enough. That's why I'm kind of I'm not saying I'm clueless about what you said, but what I'm gonna say is regarding owners, you can't just say an owner with fat pockets is gonna get it done. Like just ask David Tepper in Carolina right now. I'm gonna say this: owners. I think the best type of owners is the guy like Robert Kraft.
Right.
Now Belichick did a heck of a job building that defense up, and the offense, it was never his forte. And unfortunately, Brady helped cover a lot of those weaknesses. But because of what Brad Stevens can do and the ability that Brad Stevens has in basketball knowledge and team building, we need a guy that has the pockets, but also can stay out of the way. Let Brad cook. All he does is write. I know it's easier said than done, but all he does is write the checks. That's all that needs to happen. You need an
ownership. You need an ownership that is a fan of the team, who loves the team, just like loves the city, just like Wyc Grousbeck. That's what you need. And the reason why I think Pags would be a great majority ownership to this team is because he knows his team in and out. He knows how Wyc works. He knows what Wyc wants this team to be. He could live on that legacy going forward. That's why I think when I heard that news came out today, I was like, this is good news.
You know why I don't want to say this is listen, if that's the truth, I definitely want it to happen. Like no doubt about it. But I can also go like in the opposite direction and say, the problem with that? The problem with that is, man, I took over a great franchise, a cornerstone franchise in the NBA that now has 18 titles, not 17, 18 titles, which is more than anybody because we don't count freaking in-season tournaments, otherwise the other franchise. But now the new amount of pressure that's put on this guy. Mm-hmm. Like he says, oh my God, like, yes, I took over, owning the team, but I don't care what owner you are. I don't care what franchise you own. They do see, the number one thing they do see under your tenure is the number of titles. Mm-hmm. Like they want to see titles. Like we that's why we say Clark Hunt is a heck of a freaking GM in the freaking an owner in the National Football League, because look what the Chiefs have done lately. Look at the freaking look at who's that? Look at Mike Ilitch when he owned the Detroit Red Wings. Look at that dynasty. So I think it's a lot of pressure given that you're taking over a franchise of such magnitude, especially the team that just won it all. But listen, Boston never accepts guys who runs away from challenges.
Right.
And even freaking Ime Udoka said this in his one lone year. Remember when the Nets won the playing game and were facing us. Remember what Ime said? Because remember that last game of the regular season, they win, they get the 2 seed, and they can play the Nets in the first round. Ime in 1 year as Boston's as the Celtics head coach said what? Said we're a basketball team, not a track team. We play opponents. We don't run from people.
Right.
So listen, if what you're saying is true, I know that you're no fool at this. I would love to see that replacement. But whoever gets this next one, if it's him or not, he just better be able to care for the team, write the checks, stay the hell out of the way. Because if he becomes like a Jerry Jones equivalent, we're fucked. And that's not. Sorry, kids, for listening to this, but like that's legit. Like I actually feel for Cowboys fans in that regard because. If the Cowboys never fired Jimmy Johnson, I said this. They never fired Jimmy Johnson. They were the Patriots for the Patriots.
Facts.
Like no doubt.
Yeah.
So if we get that owner who just does his job, make sure the team makes money, make sure the memorabilia flies off the shelves, make sure the people are coming through the turnstiles making money. Let Brad cook. Let the players cook. And then, I mean, if I was an owner of the NBA, I would just care about hoisting 1 or 2 titles at the end of the year. 3 if you want to count the in-season tournament. But the 2 most important titles, the conference title and the NBA title, I care about hoisting those.
Hell yeah.
I mean, look, I know the NBA is a hard cap league, and the freaking what's it called, the apron rules are gonna be in effect in the next few years. I've been listening to Bobby Marks and Brian Windhorst and Woj talk about all this all the time. And I'm trying to get the vocabulary of it. But the Celtics have got to start now that we win as many as possible, if possible, because the apron rules are going to start to deal with us in the next 2 years. And then that's going to start skinning people like the players on our team. Like, if you ask why the Clippers are getting skinned the way they're skinned, it's because of the fact that they're the first victims of the apron rule. And then the Bucks are next because the Bucks have no draft capital. At least the Clippers have draft picks.
Yep.
Actually, they don't. The Thunder have them, but the Bucks don't have draft picks. The Suns don't have draft picks. If you don't have draft picks and you're over the cap, you're
looking to rebuild. You're going into a rebuild.
The apron is no longer an apron. It's like you have a big stain all over yourself.
Yeah.
Like an apron protects in the kitchen from those spills and all that. No, the spills on your body if you don't have any of those draft capital or cap. So.
Yeah. Alrighty, I'm getting somebody else on you. That was a great call. Thank you very much, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Jesse.
Yep. I like this take. The new owner has to be like Wick. He needs to be something similar to Wick. Care about the team, the city, the fans. Let Brad cook. Get out the way. And just keep hoisting up those banners. You'll be able to do it if you have the money. If you are deep in your pockets and you care about the team, which if you're an owner, well, if you're a billionaire, like a multi-billionaire, if you are buying the Boston Celtics, you know the history of the Boston Celtics. You just do. You know the history of this team. You know that this city, all they care about is winning. So if you don't win, if you don't do the necessary steps to help your team win, letting Brad Cook and everyone like that, you're not gonna stick around here long enough. The fans are gonna turn on you, and they're not gonna support you. You're gonna be hated in the city. Again, look at John Henry. Look at the way he's turned out to be so far. At first, he was in it for the team. He was in it to win championships and everything like that. Great. Perfect. But then something in his head clicked. And then he went to the money aspect of it, where all it was about money, maximizing the dollar bill and everything else. And that's what it turned into for him. It didn't turn into him having a team that wants to win championships year in and year out. It turned into the money. And now look at that team. They've overachieved this year, yes. But have they been near a championship the last 3 seasons? No. Are they near a championship team this year? No. They're nowhere near it. If you were to ask me, so far this season for them has been a fluke. They've been winning games off of the stupidest reasons. Pitchers getting called for a balk, putting the winning run in scoring position, this, that, so on and so forth. They've won games off of errors, platinum glove winners dropping baseballs. Like, they've won off the stupidest reasons. I bet you their expected wins and losses, like what they should be, is not as good as what they are. If you're becoming the owner of the Boston Celtics, you have some sort of knowledge that you're going to be in it to win championships. And you want to hoist trophies for the city of Boston, just like Rick Grossbeck has been doing. Do whatever it takes to win championships and be willing to pay for the price. Now, he brought up this point. I didn't even cover it. The Celtics had a couple draft picks. They went out, they got Baylor Shearman from Creighton. Love the pickup. But now, with the Celtics selling and them being close to that second apron, like we've been saying, what does this mean for Sam Hauser? Because the guy that the Boston Celtics drafted, Baylor Shearman, is kind of a similar player to Sam Hauser. Actually, if he develops his game, he might turn out better than Sam Hauser. Last year with Creighton, he averaged 18.5 points per game, totaled 9 rebounds, 4 assists per game, 45% from the field, 38% from 3, 88% from the line. This year, he wasn't really that great on the defensive end, not really known as blocking shots or whatever, but like if he can get you some steals in a game, that'd be great. He's like a 2 or 3. So if you have a lights-out shooter, which if you go check his highlights, oh man, this guy's a bucket. What does this mean for Hauser? Is Hauser on the move? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Because this player right here kind of has the same skill set as Sam Hauser. Actually, maybe a little bit better. He might have more of a potential than Sam Hauser because he's not really just a spot-up shooter. He can dribble the ball, too. He's had some step-backs. I've seen him. And alongside with that, he's able to blow by defenders off the dribble. He has an ISO game. So, he might have a little bit more upside than Hauser. So, will this mean they extend Hauser? I don't know. Maybe they'll use Hauser's contract in the future to save themselves some dollars. That's on the table too. But like I said, though, you extended Tatum, you extended Brown. You have 2 guys in the top 15 in the league. One of them in the top 5. You got to do whatever it takes to keep those guys on your roster for the entirety of their career. You have to do whatever it takes for those guys to be on your roster for the entirety of their career. And you need to build a winning team around those players because drafting guys and them developing into top 5 players or top 15 players does not come around that often. It doesn't. So you need to maximize your window as far as possible. And it shouldn't matter how much it takes. Maybe you need to have a reset year, or what we like to call it a retool year in baseball, so you can reset the penalties, so you can go back into that second apron or whatever. You might have to have one of those years, but you need to do whatever it takes to have a winning culture around those guys for the foreseeable future. Let's bring our next caller in real quick. Celtics fan 2011 is his username. All right. What's going on, my friend? You're on the clock. You got the floor.
Oh, what's going on, my man?
What up, man? How's it going?
It's going good. Talk about was how like Klay Thompson's contract is over.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so this is basically the end of the Warriors dynasty. Because basically they needed Klay, and I think that from when I think it started when they drafted Curry, and the first few years, they were working on making the playoffs, and then Klay Thompson came in and stuff, and he was a big part. He was one of the Splash Brothers, but recently, ever since his big injury, and he was out for 2 years. Ever since that, he hasn't been the same. So that's why he's leaving the Warriors, and this is the end of their dynasty.
I get a question for you real quick, because I feel like this topic right now with Klay Thompson plays a factor in the Celtics right now, because what the Celtics need to do is they need to look at this Golden State Warriors dynasty, and they need to build off of what they did in those previous years to build themselves a dynasty for the upcoming future. Now,
yes, exactly.
Yep. Okay. I'll let you cook.
They look at they have to look at the Golden State Warriors dynasty, and they look at everything that went wrong, and they try their best to avoid all of that.
Questions. I know. This is my job, though. My job is to ask the tough questions, ask the hard questions to the fans, and you guys got to be as real as possible. So it's hard sometimes. I get it. I understand. No Diddy. But let's go forward with this. He did say something that was the main theme of this video here. The main theme of this video is you have two guys that are top 15 players in the league. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. First of all, you cannot lose any of those guys. First of all, the first reason is because the fans will despise you. They will hate you for it. Some of them will hop off the bandwagon. And those guys are beloved throughout the entirety of Celtics Nation. And they're winners. You want winners on this team. Especially if they're top 15, top 5 guys in the league. Those guys don't come around that often. So you got to do whatever it is necessary in order to bring that window, that championship window, to as far as possible. You got to open that door as far as possible. You got to maximize your championship window to the best of your ability. And the championship window is now. You already got one. However, one is great in Boston. Then we want another one. Then another one on top of that. Then we want another one. Whoever's coming in as the owner should know that. Whoever's coming in as the new owner should know what it's like to be a Boston sports fan. All we care about here is winning. We don't give a damn about the in-season tournament like another team does, the Lakers. We don't give a damn about that. We want the Larry O'Brien trophy. And even from the first caller, Kane's son said, conference trophies? Aren't a bad thing really either. Conference trophies are better than the in-season tournament trophy, I will say that. I'll take a conference finals trophy over an in-season tournament trophy every single damn week. I will take that. We want to be in it to the end each and every year. We haven't been a second round exit or first round exit since 2021, and even there you could really say it really didn't count because that was a shortened season and where there was still no fans at the beginning of the year and everything else. The vibes were off that year. You could still argue we haven't been a first or second round exit since the 2019 season. 2018-2019 season. That's a long time ago. We want winners. We want people who will care about this team day in and day out. That's what the next owner should be. The next owner for the Boston Celtics needs to be exactly like Wyc Grousbeck. That's what the next owner should be. It might come at the cost of a new arena. We love TD Garden, but it might come at the cost of that. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't turn into that. But I love the Celtics. I just want to see them win. I just want to see Tatum, Brown finish their careers here in Boston. That's what you guys should want. That should be the main priority. The main priority should be seeing Celtic greats in Tatum and Brown finishing their careers here in Boston. Obviously, you want to win too, but you want to see those guys here for the entirety of their career. That's what you want. And if they're here for the entirety of their career, you know what that also means? That means you're also in contention for championships. Because that's how good those two guys are. So that should be the goal. Keep them two guys here, and you're a championship contender for a long time. That's all. You can work around the second apron and everything else where, like, you can build a team around Tatum and Brown. Might not be as good as this team here, but you could build a team around Tatum and Brown where you're flirting with the second apron. You're under it, so you can reset the penalties and compete for championships. You can do that. Celtics are now, I believe, the 6th NBA franchise to go on sale ever since these new rules came out. Holy shoot, that's a lot of teams. I think Wyc's just not going to sell to anybody. I don't think he's going to sell to just anybody. I think Wyc is going to sell to somebody who loves the Celtics, who's just like him, and wants to see this Celtics team going forward the way he's constructed it. And that's what I'm hoping for. Let's go to that next caller. Justin's in here. Justin, you're on, my friend. What's going on? How's it going?
It's going good. How's it going with you, bro?
It's been a roller coaster of a day.
Yeah.
It ended good, though. It ended good.
No, it's not. I'm just gonna keep this short and sweet, bro. I just want to get your initial thoughts on the Derek White and Jason Tatum extension.
You want to hear my take before I send you off, or are you gonna listen to it on the video?
Sure, but I'll mute myself so that way. Like I said, I'll mute myself so that way I can hear your take.
Okay, perfect. All right, so my take on the Derek White and Jason Tatum extension is this. It's obviously a good thing, right? As you guys have been hearing this video, it's going to sound like I'm going back and forth, so on and so forth, saying the same thing, but like he wanted my take live before this video drops, so I'm just going to repeat it over again. Sorry, you guys are going to have to live with it. It's a good thing. The bad news today came from the fact that the Celtics ownership is selling. The only way that it's not a bad thing is if you get a good owner. And I have faith that Wyc Grousbeck will sell it to somebody who loves the Celtics just like we do, just like he does, and loves Boston just like he does and everybody else does also. I have faith in that. I don't think he's just going to sell it to anybody. But the owner is going to come in here. The next owner is coming in here knowing now, after all these contracts have been signed, hey, you're going to be in the second apron for a while and you're going to be competing for championships. It's a great thing, but you got to pay for it. And listen, if this new owner wins one and sees what the city of Boston's like, he'll want to win just like Wyc Grousbeck did. Now, Tatum, White, what these extensions did today was that these extensions put your winning window open even further. Because at first, when the news came out that Wyc was selling, what's this future of this team going to look like? Is this going to delay the process of re-signing Jason Tatum? Are you going to even re-sign Jason Tatum at all? Because normally when you sell a team, you want the payroll to be low so this new ownership can come in with a new team and build their own team. They're doing the complete opposite. They're building the team for this new ownership already, basically handing the keys over to him saying, hey, this is what it's like owning the Boston Celtics. You got to come in here knowing that you need to compete for championships, and this is what it takes to be in ownership for the Boston Celtics. That's what the Jason Tatum signing showed today. That's what the Derek White signing showed today. That's what signing even Luke Cornett. And I think from what I'm reading right now is that they signed Xavier Tillman to a deal too, from what I'm reading. That's what it takes. It takes you.
I saw that as well. I have not seen anything on Twitter or Facebook yet, so that's not official as of right now.
Okay, perfect. Glad you told me about that. But regardless, that sticks to my point though. In order to win, in order to be an owner of this team, this is what it is. This is what it takes. And this is the expectation from the fans that you're going to be pretty much buying at this point. You're buying my team. Well, you're not only buying my team, you're buying the culture, the fans, the city. You're buying it all. This is what it takes. If you don't want it, if this is not for you, if this is too much pressure, back off. I will sell it to somebody else who will care about this team, who's not in it for the dollar bill. This team's not for sale because you want to make the dollar bills. This team's for sale for someone like me to take ownership of this team and build off of what's been created in the Celtics history. And that's winning. That's how I took the signings today, because Tatum's contract ends in 2030. The new ownership will be here in 2028, around there. So they're going to have this team for 2028, part of 2029, and probably 2030 if I had to guess, because you can't lose Tatum and Brown. You just can't lose them. I don't care who's owning the team. You can't lose those guys, because this team has invested in those guys from the beginning. They've built them as winners. They've won championships with them. The city's in love with these guys. You can't get rid of them. And that's what I saw today. This window has been maximized into 2030, and then you revisit there of what you want to do. Again, I think Tatum and Brown will be here for the foreseeable future. I hope they are here for the end of their careers. That is what you want them to be. You want them here till the end of their careers. So if you want them here till the end of their careers, well, guess what? You have to maximize that championship window for as long as possible. And that's what you have to do. So that's my take on the signings from today with Derek White. I think Derek White's contract is even a great contract, because I think he could have went somewhere else and made himself $200 million. He took 126.
If I'm correct, that kicks in next year, correct? Not this season coming up, but next year coming up.
For both of them, right? Tatum and White?
I think so, yes.
That kicks in next season, yes.
Okay. Jesse, thank you so much for answering my question, and I will let you go, bro.
Sounds good, man. See you later.
See ya.
Today was such a roller coaster day for the Celtics. And that's going to do it for this video here, because this video is going to be a very long one. Because it was a big day for the Boston Celtics. So, kind of makes sense for why this video is going to be well over an hour long. Leave a thumbs up if you guys enjoy these videos. I know if you guys know what to do. Go check out our website. The link is in the description down below. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. It was a lot. It was definitely a lot. Let me know what you guys think about Wyc Grousbeck selling the team, Tatum's extension, and Derek White's extension. I'll be reading comments down below. And thank you guys for watching. It's been your boy Jesse, and we'll see ya in the next video. Later, guys. Let's go Celtics, as always.
Beantown.
Beantown.